Welcome to Intelligence Gateway.
C++ Programming Course, Lecture 09. Module 9, C++ Best Practices and Coding Standards. Introduction, Coding Standards and Guidelines, Writing Clean and Maintainable Code, Debugging Techniques and Error Handling, Case Studies, Conclusion. Introduction. Welcome to our presentation on C++ Best Practices and Coding Standards. Today, we will be discussing the importance of writing clean and maintainable code in C++ and why debugging techniques and error handling are essential. As developers, it's important to understand that writing good code is not just about getting things done quickly, but also about creating code that is easy to read, modify, and maintain. By following best practices and coding standards, we can ensure that our code is not only efficient, but also reliable and scalable. Coding standards and guidelines. Coding standards and guidelines are essential in C++ programming as they ensure that code is readable, maintainable, and easier to debug. By adhering to coding standards and guidelines, developers can improve the quality of their code and make it easier for others to understand and modify. Some commonly used coding standards include naming conventions, indentation rules, and commenting requirements. Writing clean and maintainable code. Writing clean and maintainable code is essential in C++ programming. It not only improves the readability of the code, but also makes it easier to debug and results in better performance. When writing code, it's important to consider its long-term maintenance and readability. By adhering to best practices for writing clean and maintainable code, you can ensure that your codebase remains easy to understand and modify. Over time, one of the best ways to write clean and maintainable code is to keep it simple. Use descriptive variable names, avoid complex nested structures, and break down large functions into smaller, more manageable ones. Another key practice is to write self-documenting code by using comments sparingly and instead relying on clear and concise code. Finally, make sure to adhere to coding standards and guidelines, such as those provided by your organization or industry, to ensure consistency across your codebase. Debugging techniques and error handling. Debugging is an essential part of C++ programming, and it can be a time-consuming and frustrating process. However, with the right techniques and tools, debugging can become much easier and less stressful. One of the most important things to remember when debugging in C++ is to use the available tools effectively. This includes using debuggers, profilers, and other tools to identify and fix errors. It's also important to have a good understanding of the code you're working with, and to be able to read and interpret error messages. Case studies. In one case study, a team of developers implemented coding standards and guidelines in their C++ project. By doing so, they were able to significantly reduce the number of bugs and errors in their code, resulting in a more stable and reliable product. Additionally, the code became more readable and maintainable, making it easier for new team members to understand and contribute to the project. Another case study focused on effective debugging techniques and error handling strategies. The team used various debugging tools to identify and fix errors in their code, and implemented error handling mechanisms to prevent similar issues from occurring in the future. As a result, they were able to improve the overall performance and stability of their C++ application. Conclusion. In conclusion, we have discussed the importance of C++ best practices and coding standards. By adhering to these practices, developers can write clean and maintainable code that is easy to read and debug. We have also explored various debugging techniques and error handling strategies that can help identify and fix errors in code. Implementing these practices may seem daunting at first, but the benefits are undeniable. Writing clean and maintainable code not only improves performance and readability, but also saves time and resources in the long run. We encourage you to implement these practices in your own work and continue learning more about them. With dedication and practice, you too can become a skilled C++ developer.
Thanks for watching. For more information, like, comment, and subscribe our channel.